All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Let's do it. There go the glasses.
There's the glasses. I am Matt,
I'm Brian.
and this is HP Life. And this is where we talk about Highland Park Christian Church, celebrate its members, talk about the life of the church, what's going on, what's gone on. And Saturday, we had a really awesome thing that's an annual tradition.
Yeah. So our Fall Fun Fest, we gear for our community, and we have hundreds of people from our neighborhood come and enjoy incredible live music. Thank you, Daniel Jordan.
Yeah.
Dude, his guitar
He's
does
so
different
good.
stuff than mine does. I just like mine doesn't sound the same. And lots of hot dogs, popcorn, games,
Hot chocolates.
fun decorations. And we had a great volunteer crew that was amazing. So it was great.
Yeah, and it was so awesome to see some of our new members. They had booths, and we're diving in to volunteer.
Yeah.
And people sitting at the door all night to welcome
Yeah.
people, and it was just so cool
Yeah.
to see that, and love seeing the whole church come together to celebrate something.
Can I just give my wife a shout out for her costume? I mean, it was pretty amazing. My wife was super mom, and she had like all of the cleaners and stuff that moms need, and a baby strapped to her leg.
The killer
Yeah.
for me was the baby strapped to
Yeah.
her leg.
Yeah, that was pretty
That was
awesome.
pretty good.
We've
I
all
liked yours, the Super
been there.
Grover.
Yeah, well, I tell you what I learned.
Yeah.
They just don't make sweats like they used to, and these are the used to sweats, and they were so comfortable. I got home and I was like, I think I'm just gonna wear these the rest of the night. These are so comfortable.
Well, it was chilly enough.
It was.
Well, you might need some sweats here in a couple of weeks because sweats are elastic and they give lots of room for eating.
Wow, it's a nice dog.
You like that
Nice
segue? Because in 2 weeks, well, a little less than 2
November
weeks, really.
12th.
November 12th at 5. We'll put the time up.
Either 5 or 5:30.
It's 5 or 5:30.
Yep.
Come at 5, you won't be late.
I think-
5:30, you may be on time or you'll be late.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's 5 o'clock.
November 12th is our Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
And if you're wanting to help us cook a turkey, you can text the word turkey to the number on the screen. We'll buy the turkey and get it to you the week before. And if you're wanting to cook the day of, there's several of us that are up here for several hours before the event, cooking like kind of the staple sides, like mashed potatoes and stuffing and rolls and things like that. And then you can just text the word cook to that same number. Or we would ask everybody, if they can, to bring either 2 sides or a side and a dessert. Desserts. You got to have what's your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Chocolate pie.
Really? Yeah.
Somebody at our family always has a chocolate pie, and I look at it, and I look at the pumpkin, and I'm like, chocolate it is.
It's funny because like I always want to make a pecan pie. I usually make a pecan pie, but I love pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
And so Angie always makes a pumpkin pie, so I know that's there. And then I make the pecan pie, which I do love.
I like them
I
too.
just get a little sliver of everything, put
Yeah.
Cool Whip on everything.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
anyway, so wear your Grover pants that night, and bring somebody. And it's not just like the American classics, but we've started a tradition now where this is our second year, I think, where we invite the Eritrean church.
Yeah, PECE will be joining us
And,
again.
our partner church that meets in our building, and so they're going to bring foods that they make great. And man, Angie and I were talking about it. The problem is the plates aren't quite big enough.
Not quite. So you just have to pick and choose what you're going to
Or
try
you
that
get
year.
like a quarter size of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that tastes really good. You go back, it's already gone.
Yeah.
But maybe just
great.
take a chance on grab something. But it's all good. So that's the Thanksgiving dinner. But then on Sundays, we've been going through our sermon series, which is Love Never Fails. And the graphic has been like a mixtape. And I don't know if you've seen online when I have this special one, I have like the mixtape, and each sermon title is in red.
Yeah.
And so we did Love's Not Irritable.
Yes.
Or what was the other part? Resent?
Keeps no record of wrongs.
Keeps no record of wrongs, yeah. And But we talked specifically about something yesterday that was really important.
It was interesting. So our small group actually talked about this because I quoted Rich Viotis, who says resentment closes up your heart.
Yeah.
Like when something irritates you, offends you, hurts you, it's that closing up, and then we don't deal with that, and it kind of bottles up and poisons our own soul. Mm-hmm. That's resentment. But the opposite is not to ignore it at all or to spew it, but the opposite is lament, where we lament what has been done to us. We go through those stages of grief and anger and frustration and maybe all of those things, but we do so with God, with our heart not closed but open to God. So we give God space to work with us, through us, in those emotions, in those wounds, and we give God the space to help us determine any appropriate response. Like there's certainly times where after a time of lament that I may need to go to someone and say, you wounded me, or maybe I need to have a course correction in life in some way, or maybe it's not something that I deal with somebody else, it's just my own things. But regardless, we give God space to bring healing to us and bring discernment to us. And so in our small group talking about it, it reminded me of this book. So Aubrey Sampson, actually, I met her. She's written for Nav Press, who was publisher I worked with, and I got to know her through that. I just really appreciated her. And she wrote this book called The Louder Song, and listening for hope in the midst of lament. And the gist of the book is that oftentimes there's grief, and just imagine that tune of grief in your heart. But she invites us to not just cut that off, but to listen and for God's tune of hope that eventually comes louder. And it's just that it was a neat kind of way to think through that we hear both things. But if we listen long enough and trust that God is playing his beautiful music, then that will help us through the difficult parts of life. And anyway, I haven't read many books about lament, but this just really helped me think about it. And so if anybody, like people in our small group, are like, I want to learn more about lament, I would encourage you to find this book. You can find it online about anywhere. So,
and then, of course, in the Old Testament, you have Lamentations and Jeremiah.
Yep.
And, and I don't know that people think about it that way, but if they can go back and read it with those lenses. But what I was going to say is, I think there's probably a reason why people don't do that, and it's because it feels like we're complaining.
Yeah. Yep.
So what do you think is the difference between lamentation and complaining? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Maybe complaining is like two people. Lamentations is to God, but even to God you can complain, and so there's got to be something in the spirit in how you present it.
Yeah, I think maybe it's in like the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
in lament, we bring our grievances and our frustrations to God, but still with a matter of faith that He will come to us and be with us and work through us. And complaint is just like blah. I'm done with you, or I don't like you. And again, I think it's that closing off on any sort of instruction or help for us. It feels to be a pretty big difference there.
Well, and even kind of going back to your sermon, you mentioned, Jesus in the garden and saying, this was Dave a couple of weeks ago. Is there another way? And, it's not a complaint, because we know Jesus didn't sin. And so it wasn't a complaint that he was saying to God, I don't like this. Why are you doing this to me? But there is a way to say, I don't like this situation. Help me through it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's that attitude switch.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think that we can often discern the difference when somebody
probably
just verbally vomits on you against
toxic
someone else.
Yeah.
And they don't want any feedback.
Yeah.
That's complaining.
Yeah.
But they can also maybe come to you and tell you like, wow, this happened. And then maybe sit for a moment.
Yeah.
And and maybe ask, would you pray with me? Or what do you think I should do? Or to me, that feels like it's turned a corner. And we see God, sometimes listening to David's pretty harsh complaints patiently. We also see him with Job, listen, chapter after chapter after chapter. And then finally, God's like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And so it's like it had turned enough that God's like,
I've had
okay,
enough.
yeah, you're not listening. You're just, going off and not even rightfully so. And that thing is, in our hurt, we need to be aware that we're probably not thinking crystal clear and understanding God's perspective, perhaps. And so to deal with our emotion, but then to give space to let God work.
And then maybe for those of us, when somebody comes to us, because I think when somebody comes to us and the first thing they say is, man, I've had a really hard week. The first thing I kind of jump to, and maybe I shouldn't, is, oh, they're going to complain about something. But maybe I need to listen with different ears, like with compassionate ears, and like allow them to tell me how rough their week's been, and then pour into them with encouragement. And so lament lesson for all of us on both sides. All right, so talking about encouragement, we've been doing a thing for once each month for the past few months for parents, encouraging parents, called Pep Talk.
Yeah.
And that's this Friday.
And so if you have not been involved yet, it's okay. You can still jump in. Just text the keyword parent. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a meal together. And
they're not dependent upon the time before or anything.
Nope. Our good friends Tyler and Ashley are going to present a talk. It'll be short, kind of like a little TED Talk style with discussion on praying with your kids. And so I'm looking forward to eating and fellowshipping with other parents and then learning from them and praying together. And hopefully that you can just make that part of your Friday evening, just about an hour and a half. And just text parent, and that way we can cue you into the logistics of where we'll be and such.
Nice. And then also this weekend going on is we've got a youth fundraiser, the pickleball tournament.
Yes. So Thursday night for beginners, Saturday for a little more intermediate advanced. You can see all the info on our website.
Go to the website.
But we've got some teams signed up, but we have room for some more in every category. So we'd love to fill it on up and make it a good fundraiser for our students. And so, and you can call the office and talk to Peyton if you want to ask somebody about it.
Or email her
at
peytonm@hptulsa.com.
Yep.
So tomorrow is Halloween, and it is cold. It was cold yesterday, drizzly, and
north
cold
wind
today, and it's going to be just as cold or colder tomorrow, especially when the sun's setting. But we're going to go out with our kids, and they'll have fun. But I remember growing up times where I would have the whole with the mask, with the rubber band thing, and the plastic kind of tie outfit, and then a big giant coat over it. So like people couldn't even really see what you were. But what was your favorite costume as a kid?
Oh, boy, you just totally stumped me. I don't know.
I had a Batman one that I loved.
I'm not remembering.
But I hated that those rubber bands would like pinch, cut your hair.
I had a Spider-Man mask, and the rubber band would always like
snap. They were horrible, but they were awesome.
It's like, how can we make a mask for less than 30 cents?
It was really bad. But I don't know. We would love to hear what was your favorite costume as a kid or as an adult. I don't know. I did a Disco Wolf one time where I combined a disco dancer with a werewolf, and I loved that one. And so maybe as an adult, I did.
One time I was a scarecrow, and I just sat on the front porch and scared people.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, that was fun.
So just put it in the chat or text us. We'd love to hear what your favorite costumes were, and we can participate with you in that. But that's it for this time, HP Life. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.